Hey, greetings, friends. Jacque Howard here. Thank you for your time, for tuning into one of my podcasts, whatever outlet it is coming to you. And more importantly, thank you for being connected to whomever my guests are. And also, if you are not connected, please take some time to get connected with them. There's a lot that's happening. There's positive energy. There's lots of movement. And what Trenton 365 and my affiliate outlets and networks and partners, what we're about is really just bringing people together, building a better community for everyone equitably. And basically what that means is just as important as I feel my voice is, I have to recognize and fully understand that whomever I'm communicating with, they have the same opinion. So that means oftentimes we're going to have candid and hard conversations with people who may be familiar to us or who may not be so familiar to us in body, in stature, in education levels, or in circumstances by which they are going through. It behooves us to take a better stance on this as we move forward as a city, especially in the city of Trenton, New Jersey, where we have a new administration that's coming online. There's lots of opportunities, and it's important that everyone has a voice, that as many people as possible are connected, and that from all aspects of the community, we are represented. I say that, and I'm going to speak candidly on my side about Stephani Register and the time that I've spent with her over the decades, not only worshiping together at Westminster Presbyterian Church, but also being active in her day job as a planner with the city of Trenton, which is even an obscure profession for a lot of people. They don't even know what a city planner does. And not only do I have the opportunity to worship with Stephani and to hear her share her talents and her gifts as a musician, as a coordinator of music, but also as fashion, etc., but also her nonprofit organization, which is the hyper focus of tonight's conversation. And that is Recovery is Essential. Now, this organization is led by Stephani sharing her own personal experiences and connecting resources with people who have gone through, are in, or are supporting others in recovery. And I say that as my story because in a most recent visit to see Stephani's shop at the Trenton Farmers Market on Spruce Street in Lawrence Township, I had mentioned to Steph about, what it means me not being in recovery, but showing R.I.E. or wearing a t-shirt or something like that. And Stephani so lovingly, using the sandwich approach, just did one of those brotherly things and said, well, when people are in recovery, the others that are around them are their support system. And it put me in a space where not only were the scales removed and the light went off, it was like, oh, wow. Yeah. And then I thought, how many other people like myself who are trying to do good things, showing support, don't recognize our position in the recovery process of others. So thank you, Stephani Register, as I bring her on, for that moment of teaching, for who you are as a person, also for your talents. I love to hear you sing, and I look forward to more of what you're doing. Stephani Register, please start sharing about Recovery is Essential. And if you want to go into the day job stuff, it's up to you. But I want you to talk about your passion for Recovery is Essential.
Well, I'm excited to be here with you, Jacque, and thank you so much for having me. I just love being in a community that support those of us in recovery and also providing safe spaces for those of us in recovery. And that's what Recovery Essential is all about, providing those safe spaces. And my tagline is this: we recover to uncover the truth, and we don't recover alone. I'm going to be very, very frank with you. Codependency enabling actually is not a good community for those of us in recovery. So when we have someone who say, well, I just want to help them and I want to make sure they get through, I always say to people like that, like I pretty much said to you that day, well, you are the support, and how you exemplify yourself around a person who is of substance use disorder is pretty much going to be the example of how they recover. And I'm going to also parlay that to my best girlfriend, who said to me when I was getting clean, she said, I'd rather you hate me
Mm.
than participate in watching you kill yourself. And when she said that to me, I bawled and I cried. And I love Jania today to stay for it. She literally put her life on the line and our friendship on the line. She said, I'd rather you hate me. That means that she wasn't going to allow me to implode. She wasn't going to allow me to say I need a fix because my body is going crazy. She was going to let me go through the pain and the anguish of withdrawal. She was going to sit there and hold me. She committed herself to that process of what you need to go through, especially when you're already thinking about doing a relapse. I tell people before the relapse happened, you're already thinking about it. I already cut the corners. I already did everything I could do. But she was that one person in my life as a friend that said, no, we're not doing this. And I also say this, though, and God bless her, if Whitney Houston had me as a friend, would she be here? And if I was with my ex-fiance, Sean, if I hadn't left him, would he been here? So I take this very seriously, that those who are around us and you really respect and love us, as you say, have you created a safe space for those of us with substance use disorder? And yes, you have. Yes, you have, Jacque. And that's very, very, very important, because we do not recover in isolation. Isolation is the enemy to someone of substance use disorder. We recover in community. And how we create community is how we create a safe environment for those of us in recovery, those of us who are substance use disorder. What is that? That's someone who is addicted. That is someone that's powerless over any type of substance, alcohol, drugs, whatever is causing your life to become unmanageable. That's a problem. And what we tend to realize, oh, that's not my issue. Oh, that's their problem. Nah. Anyone with a brain disorder like that, that's everybody's issue. And we need to start taking this because that's a family. We cannot begin to take these type of issues or these disorders and continue to sweep them under the rug or ignore them, as we say, is a big elephant in the room. The elephant, big as you and I, we're trying to ignore it. We're trying to avoid it. We're trying to make it like, oh, that's just how she is. Oh, that's how he is. No. That is actually conditioning at its best. And we got to find better mechanisms of treating this disorder instead of criminalizing it or trying to find some other way to massage it where it's okay. And it's cultural also. I speak at it from this perspective all the time, from a Black and a white, because I do know from our historic pressures here in the United States of America, how substance use disorder affected our African-American community and Black and Brown communities and our white community. So we need to really begin to emphatically speak on this, and especially with the legalization of marijuana. We are not talking about this cohesively. We need to change the perception, which was negative. Hi, Sada. We also need to recreate and change the narratives.
Exactly. Steph, I'm glad you brought marijuana, medical marijuana, cannabis, hemp, and that up in that whole realm. But before we go down that path, I want you to talk a little bit more about the community perspective of it, and the community perspective in the light of how you have your sober soiree, and how you build community around that, and how people can get involved with that.
Well, that's exciting. Now they call Recovery the Central conduit, because now we have created this sense of community that we are bringing everyone together to celebrate those of us in recovery. And people are like, wow, I didn't know I could celebrate that. Yes, you can. And I give it and I speak on it from, just think of the person that you once saw out in that substance use disorder state. And now you see this person living their life. They're being productive in community. So why not celebrate that? So, I started this, and Jacque, this story. I started this because I wanted to find a safe space for even our young people, because I lost a young one of my mentees to the fentanyl overdose. And all he wanted to do was just have a good time. But where is there to have a good time without someone in your face drinking or popping a pill, smoking a lace blunt, or, the fad trend type, activities, disorders that are actually implicate to that. So I went to my board of directors, which are my daughters, and I said, Mommy needs to do this. And they were like, you know what, go for it, Mom. Just don't tell our story. And I said, I'm going to create a safe space where young people like yourselves, older people like me, we can all come together and have a good time. And that's where we come out. We brought about the Recovery is Essential sober soirees. We know, and which is a better term, better name for a ball.
It's you. It's Stephani. Yeah. It just rolls off.
We're gonna do a soiree. You know what I mean? So the soirees were based. I thought about it when I was getting high in high school. My mother didn't know nothing about this stuff. I didn't go to my prom. I just couldn't. It was something in me, like I felt kind of shame and guilt because I really couldn't get myself together to go. So I wanted to create a space where, because those of us of substance disorder don't get to that point where we disregarded the balls, we disregarded the proms, we disregarded certain areas where we felt good enough to go out and feel good, and really went out and got your face did, really searched out that ball gown and really got that tux or that dinner suit or that cocktail dress. I wanted to create a safe space where everybody can feel Cinderella and Prince Charming their way. You walk in that door, honey, it was nothing but good essence. And I was going to say felt not empowered, but powered to know that, wow, the soiree is set up just for me. So I hired a Black caterer, Elise Robinson Carter, Elisa's Catering. I hired, and I say Black because all my cast is Black. Creative Touches, Rachel Woodall. Custom Affairs, Princess Jenkins, my master artisan, Tibet Fairman, who was my cohort, just to make sure that we had clinicians on staff, hiring a photographer, my hostess, everyone, because we wanted to show that we as a people can come together and have a safe space, a clean space where people can have a good time, good music, good food, and you didn't have to worry about no one triggering or causing you to want to go use. And at the end of that night, it is such a great feeling how people leave and they're like, I'm coming back next year. I really enjoyed myself. And wow, you showed off the children, because again, we want to show in community that we can have a clean, safe, sober fun without all of this mess. And for us to show off the children, because one part of recovery is essential. I have to say this though, we're not a nonprofit, we are a for-profit.
And I apologize. I apologize, Steph. I want you to go back into that because right when I said it, I was like, you know what? It's not a nonprofit. So can you elaborate on that? And I apologize.
We are a for-profit, and I specifically wanted to do a for-profit because I did want to have somewhat of a control over it, because I wanted to sell this brand. And by selling this brand, to be honest with you, gives us an opportunity to raise money. And we raise money, we give to groups that are doing positive things for children. At our last R.E.A.C.H, we had Born Worthy, Timbuktu. And our young baby girls, she has a program called So Dope. And our young baby girls developed their t-shirts, and they modeled their talent to the group. And believe it or not, people were like so amazed that these young 4, 5, 6-year-olds were already using sewing machines. And Yana, True Beauty Raw, the stuff that she's doing. So I'm thinking, it's not much. We try to give $500 to $1,000, but I felt like, what can I do to give something back to my community from a community in which I stole from? So in my sobriety and what they teach us in the room, we're giving back service. We're giving back something. We're giving back something more than we could imagine that was freely given back to us, which is our sobriety. And I'm a giver. So through Recovery is Essential, I'm able to sell the brand, and I'm able to actually raise money to be able to give. And that is such an amazing, you can't even, that's unexplainable, Jacque. You really can't explain that. And then to get other partners involved, and they see that, wow, I'm giving back to the community in which I stole from. And that That right there, that one thought process, and just gives you like I said, it's unexplainable. You just want to do more. And with that,
Steph, I'm sorry, because I sometimes the time just kind of it gets me, but I recognize that is all part of it. That's just the space that we're in. I want to make sure that when we talk again, that you elaborate on that, because I don't think that there's a lot of folks who think about that from the perspective of those who are in recovery, the way
right.
you explain it. So, but I also want to make, I'm sorry, but I want to make sure I get these two other things out, because I want to talk about cannabis and faith, but I also want to say that I want to offer Hub 13, and I know we've had preliminary conversations about this. I want to publicly offer Hub 13 as a space where recovery is essential, can come into networks and communities where people already are, and share your programming, share who you are, and share what you're doing. Because I think oftentimes people, even in the faith communities and other nonprofits, get into this space where they feel as though we're providing this service, the people are going to come to us. It's not always that case. And because of my involvement with my partners, Damon Williams and Phil Charles, we recognize that we have a captivated audience.
Mm-hmm.
We have a network who are excited, who are engaged, who are professional, who are educated in college level and professional situations, and they want to be a part of what this city and beyond looks like in the future. And part of that is recognizing that we have businesses and organizations such as Recovery is Essential that are here and available. So, Steph, I want to have Recovery is Essential do something at Hub 13. So,
and I was thinking the same thing, Jacque, because and we're at the point now where we got to come together to educate. We got to educate, we got to outreach, we got to help people understand what is, what's not, what's real, what's actual, what can happen, what cannot happen. I follow the 12-step models of recovery, and to me, I feel like it's the 12 steps for discipleship, to be honest with you. And I'm doing that because what's coming up next with Recovery is Essential. You saw that our R.E.A.C.H. Black Sisters Ecosystems of Care is coming up Saturday, February the 11th, 9 to 1 p.m. at Westminster Presbyterian Church, 1140 Greenwood Avenue, where our pastor, Karen Hernandez Granson, is the pastor reverend of the edifice. And the whole essence of the Black Sisters Ecosystem of Care is, one, we're trying to get more people to understand and know that there are Black therapists, there are Black counselors, there are Black clinicians, there are Black people and Black and brown communities and people with these credentials to help our own. I hear that a lot when I'm out here doing my outreach with R.I.E. I can't go to Catholic charities. I can't do that because they don't understand. And I said, well, we need to gather this group of people that are able to really understand our plight from not just a disorder, but from a historic systemic perspective too. So you'll know how to, quote unquote, treat it properly. See, we have not been treated properly because we've been diagnosed.
Right, girl, you're preaching properly. Now.
You know what I'm saying? So you know what, through Recovery is Essential, we're hoping that through the ecosystems of care, that we're here to rebirth creativity, reignite the self-awareness, and awaken the creative soul. And we know that we have to do that by helping each other. And in order to do that, you only one that know what I'm going through because you know which community you come from. And so we're hoping that we can take all of that information and we created an ecosystem. And so we're going to have these women who have psychotherapies and, the God Be Healing yoga studios, and she do the 12 steps of recovery, art therapy, mindfulness. Garden Jules is going to do the healing neuropathic. And Westminster Church is going to be there for healing and prayer, and Hava House, doula support services. They're going to be there to talk about the womb and how the womb starts that's where the addiction process starts. And we have to learn how to educate each other properly so that we can, again, produce productivity in a way where our communities can grow. See, our communities have not been able to grow because we messed up, bro. We got to get back to that socialization of learning and really making it okay. And it's cool to want to learn. We've been bogged down so much, conditioned by the society that we cut up our own learning. Yeah, we created our own false glass ceiling. Look, we can't get there because we got so many layers of that onion over us. And so the reason why we can't understand addictions and substance use disorder is because we don't even understand who we are. Mm. And we have to now, with all these activities. See, I always say this too. Trenton got so many activities going on, but nobody don't go. You know why they don't go? Because their minds are so bogged down with other stuff. We got to help heal these minds. And we got to create safe spaces for that to happen. And we are doing a disservice when we're doing all this stuff. And who are the ones who it's the same old people getting the same old stuff? Then they get tired of each other too. So we got to learn how to figure out ways. And that's what this ecosystem is all about. Saturday, I won't say September, but Saturday, February the 11th is actually under our Let's Talk Recovery program from Recovery is Essential. Because Recovery is Essential, again, is that safe space. We do sober parties and sober balls, but we also do workshops and educational prospects for everyone, because we want everyone to know that you can be clean and free and be okay. And I'm an old woman, you know, I mean, I know I look good, but you know, as a woman that's in her elderhood who has grandchildren, I wish somebody would have thought about this for me when I was young. Mm-hmm. We need to set up our city and our communities for the next generation, not for us no more. It's not for us. It's for the next generation. And the only way we can do that is that we got to get that elephant out the room and stop sweeping these disorders under the rug. We got to start cleaning them out.
Yeah. Steph, I'm sorry, but that is a perfect way for us to end, just because I have a time restraint. You know how this business is. Website information, and one more time, what's happening on February the 11th?
Okay, February the 11th, it is our R.I.E., Let's Talk Recovery, Black Sisters, Ecosystems of Care. That's going to be a workshop from 9 to 1 of several activities. It's actually on our Facebook. You can go on my website, which is www.recoveryisessential.blog. It is somewhat coming out of construction because I'm trying my best to get back to it. But you can also text us at 609-516-2132, and we will definitely get back to you. We are found on Facebook where Recovery is Essential, etc. and all. And we're also on Instagram as Stephani at 1193, which is my clean month and my clean year. So I'm hoping that you guys will come out on February the 11th between 9 and 1. Yes, babysitting will be available, and we're going to provide a continental breakfast. So come and chill with us that day, ladies and gentlemen, families, all. Please come hang with us at the Black Sisters Rock Ecosystems of Care, Saturday, February the 11th.
That is awesome. Thank you so much. Love you, sis. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, Jacque.
You're welcome. And there you have it, folks. Another opportunity. Someone who is doing the best they can with what they have, where they are, to build a better community, regardless of stigma. Make sure you get in touch. Trenton365.com. And remember, in closing, it's always about justice, peace, and humility.